In his pastoral letter, Bishop Nerio Pecho Chimar of the Diocese of Tandag admitted that Typhoon Basyang was the immediate cause of the devastation. I totally agree with the good bishop. Typhoon Basyang, categorized by Pag-asa as a storm signal number 2, was a moderately strong storm. However, Basyang dumped 239 millimeters of rainfall in a span of 7 hours. This is equivalent to nearly a month's worth of rainfall being poured in a short period. Such intensity, coupled with the soil already saturated following days of incessant rainfall, surface runoff and flash floods inundated villages and rice fields along its path, triggering landslide that brought about untold sufferings among our people. Official reports place 6 deaths and over 12,000 families affected. It is unfortunate, however, that instead of helping and comforting the victims as what a good Christian must do, in times like this, the church chose to amplify and speculate on the baseless and unfounded accusation bereft of any solid or factual data to back up such claims. Let us look at the hard and indisputable facts point by point. Point number 1. The affected barangays in Carrascal and Cantilan are comfortably far from the mining areas. Google Earth will easily reveal this. The damaged sites are also landslide and flood-prone areas as delineated by the Mines and Geoscience Bureau. In their geohazard maps, it is floodplain surrounded by steep slopes. The heavy rains brought about by Typhoon Basyang were simply too much that it exceeded the channel capacity and caused floodings. Point number 2. Flash floods, as the name implies, will come quickly in a flash because the soil is unable to absorb the excess water following days of rainfall without let up, rendering it already saturated. Just like any other flood, running water or surface runoff will bring with it all the debris along its path, including uprooted trees in landslide areas and dead trees and logs from kaingin. Point number 3. There is no truth to the claim that siltation ponds in some mining sites have collapsed. All the siltation ponds are intact and solid to this day. Drone videos that I have ordered, taken right after the storm, is proof of these social media pictures showing the extent of flooding in affected areas is simply the result of Basyang and the record amount of rainfall it dumped along its path. Point number 4. The claim that the flooding in the nearby towns of Cortes, Lanosa, Carmen, and Madrid are qualitatively different from the flooding in Carrascal and Cantilan is simply malicious, ridiculous, and bereft of any scientific basis. A flood is a flood is a flood. Point number 5. The official statement of the provincial government on February 14, 2018, immediately after the Basyang hit our province, categorically stated the number of deaths at 5 and the number of affected families more than 2,000 as of press time. The root cause was also stated, and it was no other than Typhoon Basyang, as the good bishop also admitted in his pastoral letter. Point number 6, I categorically state that I am not, in whole or any part, an owner of any mining company operating in our province or elsewhere. Simply put, I am not a miner. Just like any other businessman, my connection in the mining industry is limited to the hauling business. Nonetheless, I agree with the call of the Bishop Nerio P. Uchimar for an immediate and independent investigation of the flooding in all the affected areas in order to ferret out the truth and determine if landslide. I also welcome the constitution and organization of a multidisciplinary body composed of experts and men of science investigate on this matter separately the truth from fake news and come up with sound and science-based conclusions and attendant recommendations on how to mitigate the effects of catastrophes like this in the future typhoons. Hurricanes and storms like this had also happened in other places around the globe, and the incidence is becoming more and more frequent. On the morning of November 5, 1991, Typhoon Orin bore down on Ormoc, Leyte, wreaking havoc and burying the eastern and western plains of the province in water, sediment and debris. At least 4,000 people were killed in the flash floods, triggered by heavy rains in just over 3 hours of flooding. Waters rose an average of 3 to 5 feet. At the peak of the flooding, waters rose by 7 feet. In 15 minutes, rivers overflowed, and when the waters receded, it left behind sediment 2 feet deep, but it was not clear why the typhoon unloaded such heavy rains when it crossed Leyte. On February 17, 2006, a massive rock slide debris avalanche occurred in Ginsaugan, southern Leyte, causing widespread damage and loss of life. The deadly landslide followed a 10-day period of heavy rains. The official death toll was 1,126. On December 17, Typhoon Sindong triggered the overflow of the river and the water coming from the highlands, which caused flash floods and landslides in Iligan and Cagayan de Oro that sent mud and logs crashing down in communities. At least 327 were dead. On December 4, 2012, Typhoon Pablo wiped out 3 entire towns in Davao Oriental, including Barangay Palo Alto in Ligi, leaving more than 100 people dead and millions of pesos in damage. In all of these places, there were no mining activities. I repeat, there were no mining activities. Scientists around the world agree that this is the effect of global warming and climate change, where typhoons, hurricanes, and storms are becoming more intense and powerful. Let us find out the truth. As governor and leader of this province, and in the absence of solid evidence to the contrary, it is my responsibility to become objective and remain to be the sober voice in the midst of populist but unreasonable mass hysteria that have happened and continues to happen along the slopes of Basyang. Premature and sweeping conclusions do not help. Instead, let us unite as one people and help the men, women, and children affected by this tragedy. We continue to offer not only our prayers, but we will extend all efforts to ease the suffering of the affected people of Surigao del Sur. We have already directed all the relevant disaster-related agencies, and we will continue to oversee the retrieval and relief operations today. We will not stop at retrieval and relief operations, but we will also help along with the national agencies in the construction and relocation, if need be, of the damaged villages in order to bring back to normal and ensure the safety of the lives of the affected Surigao.